speaker, and I'm constrained to say if we have another outbreak in the middle of someone's visitation with us, I will cancel the rest of this hearing, discussion, public, whatever it is. Lori Miller is our next speaker, followed by Keith Stewart.
I am Lori Miller, and I've been teaching in this district for 25 years, all of which have been in the field of math and science. My first comment deals with the test coil, which has been in our science department for as long as I can remember. I have used that same device in my classroom as a teaching tool to help kids better understand electrical currents. I have used it with kids, I have used it on kids, I have used it on myself in the same manner as John Freshwater. And I have never had a concern or an issue with it. And I honestly cannot comprehend how that device can burn an individual as alleged. Even in the April 29th article that Dr. Terry Klosvik, the director of laboratory from Kenyon College, agreed that it was appropriate to use in an educational environment, and also said that he did not feel that the device could cause harm. My second comment deals with religious material in the classroom. Again, I myself have religious material hanging in my classroom. I also have a Bible on my desk. I've had it on my desk for years, and I have never been asked to remove my Bible from my desk. I've never been asked to remove any of the religious material. And just as a general reminder, even our school library has a Bible in it. And I guess another concern that has me, as Andrew brought up, I was never questioned for the impartial investigation. So I'm questioning, why is Freshwater being singled out? Let me give you some reasons why I think Freshwater is being singled out. First of all, a couple years ago, I changed rooms, and my room is now cat-a-corner to John's. Let me tell you what I have observed the past 2 years, which is pretty remarkable. John Freshwater stands in front of his door every day of every class period and personally greets every single student. Personally, every day before every class period. And not only that, he greets them with a handshake or a pat on the back or some type of high five. Something else, example number 2, John Freshwater. We had a survey at the end of the year with 8th graders. At the end of the year, he was voted their favorite teacher, 2008, their favorite teacher. Also, he got the Distinguished Service Award, not once, but twice by his administrators, and as recent as 2007. I guess the other thing I would like to say is that John Freshwater is highly effective in the classroom. The data supports it. Time.
The next speaker is Keith Stewart. He will be followed by Don Matuliak.
Anne Lamott wrote that everybody thinks their opinion is right. If they didn't, they'd get a new one. As a Christian and as a minister, I find the most troubling aspect of this science-faith debate, and that is the issue, is what it suggests about God. Science has opened up a richer understanding, and I believe a deeper understanding of the nature of God. Rather than seeing God as a monarch sitting on a throne in heaven, manipulating events on earth like some supernatural puppet master, we now have, because of science, a greater appreciation for the greatness of God who conceived of our world as it is. Somehow in this debate, we as Christians have misplaced the essence of the God of mystery. We have chosen instead to fashion a template for protecting God. The danger in trying to protect God is trying to determine who is the enemy who is trying to destroy God. Such is the nature of inquisitions. If we in our arrogance assume that God takes sides and we are on God's side, then there has to be a heretic. I think our school board has been called at different times, by ministers no less, to be the Sanhedrin and children of the devil. A family has been vilified for daring to speak out, that the child probably branded himself. Sadly, Inquisition is not a thing of the past. It now finds expression with threats against this administration. We will vote them out and then replace our superintendent. The scariest thing about Inquisition is the way that it haunts our conversation. Inquisition is an attitude of mind, a type of questioning that resists true conversation. The Inquisition in me has the answers in hand, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. Inquisition begins in the human heart. That should cause us great consternation here in Mount Vernon. We are now confronted with the depth of the inquisitional spirit that pervades our community. What might we have to surrender in order to bring our community back to where it was? First, understand religious diversity, which is to say religious division. It is one of the pillars of religious freedom in America. The presence of Christians on both sides of this issue tonight means that no one can claim the right that they have all the answers. I would encourage us to please begin the conversation again with a humble spirit.
The next speaker is Donald Poliak. He will be followed by Caleb McCoy.
I'm a member of an organization called the Community Council for Free Expression. We came together as a steering committee of leaders from our community in support of John Freshwater back in April. Besides some pastors such as Bill Folda, Dewey Morrow, Dan Whizzer, and myself, we have leaders such as Steve Thompson, Tom Collier, and Bill Kepko who have given input. Initially, we wanted to give the board the opportunity to do the due process with the allegations against Freshwater. We hoped for a fair and impartial investigation, but it's evident that there was a predetermined outcome in this report that was simply to justify removing Freshwater. I've read the entire report by HR on Call. This is one of the most shoddy pieces of work I have ever seen. Because this report is so one-sided, I chose to do a little investigating of my own in respect to HR on Call. I believe the taxpayers need to know that the firm that was hired to do this investigation does not even specialize in investigations. They're a human resource firm. And honestly, I've looked at their websites and things on the internet, and they seem to be more of a mom-and-pop firm. And I've come to understand that they were not to ascertain the truth, but to come up with a predetermined outcome for the person that hired them. Why would I say this? You've already heard some of the reports. Several of the people that were supposed to, should have been interviewed, were never interviewed. I think it's also important to understand that several who were cited criticizing Freshwater in this report never were in his classroom to observe him. People like Jeff Maley, Dr. Weston, Kathy Kasler, Mr. Cunningham, all criticized, but I don't believe they've spent any time observing his classroom. Could it be that they did not want to interview people like past principals and other administrators because they might have found something different? By the way, I also wonder why Freshwater was not given an official review this year by Mr. White. I believe that this report is a travesty. Whoever hired HR on Call did this district a disservice and wasted a chunk of the taxpayers' money. Actually, you should ask for part of your money back unless that was to simply, they were following your instructions to hang John Freshwater. By the way, I will conclude with this. Last month, Mr. Baroni made a kind of a show saying there were thousands supporting the termination of Mr. Freshwater. I'd like to know who all is in support of us terminating him. Wave your hand. I'd like to know how many are here in support of John Freshwater.